He, he has experience of 17 years in the field of IT, and he started his career as a software engineer in Bangalore and worked with software giants like Oracle India Private Limited, Bangalore, for a period of 5 years before joining NIELIT, Gangtok, as a scientist B. He has a vast experience of designing and implementing human resources development programs, especially in the emerging area of information electronics, communication technology, and has been facilitating availability of skilled professionals for embracing new opportunity in emerging technology and showcasing the potentiality and benefit that emerging technology that bring in the country. He has a vast experience in the field of emerging technologies, including cyber security and digital forensic. And he has been implementing Government of India sponsored project for capacity building of law enforcement agency in addition to setting up a state-of-art infrastructure for handling digital forensic in the state of Sikkim. He has also been assisting the state law enforcing agency in the area of cyber forensic. He has been the chief investigator for the prestigious projects such as Future Skill Prime Object of Government of India for augmented and virtual reality, which aims to meet the growing need of quality professionals in India in emerging areas such as AR, VR. As chief investigator for another project of Government of India being implemented in Sikkim, he has been working extensively on the application of emerging technology, especially AR and VR for tourism. Each other areas of work includes computer graphics, computer vision, and IT, to name a few. So after with sharing of this brief profile of learned resource person, I once again welcome all learned judicial officers as well as the resource person of today's program. And without further delay, I would like to now hand over this platform to learned resource person with a request to begin the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. A very good morning, sir. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, please.
Yes. A very good morning, sir, and good morning to all the honorable judges and the participants of today's session. So I think I have been given a time duration of 1 hour, right, sir?
Yes, absolutely right.
So without wasting much time, though it was planned for 2 hours, but now all of a sudden it was brought down. So I'll try to be as quick as possible.
Yes.
And I think I can use both English as well as Nepali, right?
Yes, no issue, please.
Okay. So I think I need to share my screen first.
Yes, please proceed.
Is my screen visible? No?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, fine. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Mm.
So basically, the agenda was to cover the various contours of cyber crimes, linking cyber crimes with the criminals, and handling of electronic evidence and judicial appreciation of digital evidence. But considering the time duration, covering all these things in very much of in detail is a difficult task. But so I think it will happen like I'll just be able to touch these topics and go forward. But nevertheless, I'll share my mobile number and details at the end of the session so that in case anything has to be consulted, we can take it offline as well. So as such, we all know, like today, internet we are using for almost everything. We depend on internet for almost everything, right? So as such, with anything, there are two sides, right? The positive side as well as the negative side. So even though technology is very beneficial, but if it is not used in the proper way, there can be problems also. And that's the reason nowadays we see news like something like this. Someone arrested for video on Facebook for inciting communal hatred. Engineering student arrested for debit card fraud. Man cheated of rupees 29 lakh by cyber criminals. Youth arrested for making fake Facebook profile. Student held for sending obscene pictures to women, and many more. The list is, I cannot limit this news to one page as such. There are several such news that we see nowadays, right? So that is why there is something called as cybercrime. So now let's come directly to the topic. What is cybercrime? So cybercrime is any crime as such wherein computer is used either as a tool or a target or both. So when I say it is used as a tool, that means to commit some traditional crimes, maybe theft, maybe murder or anything. If a computer is being used in that way, it is termed as computer being used as a tool for performing that particular crime. So in that case, computer is the tool. When I say it is at the target, it means someone might inject some virus or malware into my system, so that is targeting my system for some damage to my system. So there the victim is my computer or my smartphone or whatever, my personal device. Okay, so in that case the computer is the target, or it can be both. Basically I use computer both as a target as well as a weapon as well. So it can be in all these three categories. So any activity done with criminal intent in the cyberspace is something what we call as cybercrime. And with the emergence of cybercrime, even in the law enforcement agencies also, we have something called as the cyber cell to deal with this type of crimes. So like I said, it could involve the traditional criminal activities like theft, fraud, mischief, forgery, or defamation. And this type of things, there might be a case like all these cyber crimes, or there is something called as a cyber laws, which is covered under something called as your Information Technology Act, that is your IT Act 2000, which was later amended in the year 2008. But all the cases, it might not be, there might not be a particular section under the IT Act. In that case, it might be covered under the Indian Penal Code itself, basically. But in that case, like I said, it can be a tool, it can be a weapon, it can be target. So depending upon that, the section could be a particular section from the Indian Penal Code or some section from the Information Technology Act as well. So few of the sections I'll show you in my subsequent slides under the IT Act. Considering the time, I will not be able to cover all the details, but I'll just touch on those topics. So in any case, it can be that a criminal could be, could be judged under the Indian Penal Code or under the IT Act. Okay. So coming to the categories in which the cyber crime can be classified. Okay. So basically, it can be classified into three different categories. So first is when the computer is used as a weapon. So it's a weapon to carry out some type of crimes. So what are such examples wherein computer is used as a weapon? Like cyber terrorism, when the national property is being affected or is in danger by the because of the activities of the cyber criminals, that's termed as your cyber terrorism. Similarly, your credit card fraud or your debit card fraud. So we'll see a few examples in the subsequent slide how these debit cards, credit card frauds are carried out. IPR, that is your intellectual property right violations, okay, and your pornography. Similarly, when the computer is the target, that is another category. So in this particular case, one computer is used to damage another computer. So some examples like launching viruses, malware. Okay, so malware stands for your malicious software. Okay, at this point of time, I would like to highlight, like many times when we say malware, the people might get confused, but malware is malicious software, and virus is just one of the examples or one of the categories of the malware. So similar to virus, you have something called as your worms, you have Trojan horse, and many other things. Okay, so all of them together, it is called as your malware or your malicious software. Similarly, hacking into someone's computer, and there is something called as your DOS attacks also. That is your denial of service. DOS stands for denial of service, DOS attacks. Okay, so what DOS means is basically, say for example, you have a website, okay, which is selling, maybe for example, selling some pizza. Providing pizza, okay, and that particular company is doing very well, okay, and I'm his competitor. So what I can do, I can create unwanted network connections to his website so that the actual request will be denied, because every website, every site will have some limit. It can handle only particular number of targets at a request at a given point of time. So if I unnecessarily create a lot of such connections unnecessarily, the actual request made by the users will be denied, because that website will not be able to handle those requests. So that type of attacks is basically called as your DOS or sometimes it is also called as DDoS, that is your distributed DOS attacks. Okay, so that is another category in which it can occur. Okay. And we'll come to the actual point of the digital evidence later on. I thought maybe knowing this type of crimes, what are the crimes, is important. That's why I'm trying to touch these topics as well. So cyber crime categories based on target. Okay. So sometimes cyber crimes can be committed against persons, sometimes against the property, sometimes against the government. Okay. So there are different categories. So when against a person, some examples like your pornography, defamation. Okay. I mean, affecting someone's reputation, harassments via emails. Okay. Email bombing. That means sending you a lot of emails. Say for example, every mobile phone has a storage capacity. Okay, so if I send you unlimited number of SMS or something, your storage will be filled. So at that point of time, the useful SMS might not get delivered. So that is also one sort of crime actually. Okay, so basically that is called as your email bombing, cyber stalking, cyber extortion. Okay, cyber extortion as such is sometimes also called as your ransomware. Okay, this is a very common case in which what happens, the cyber criminals take control of your computer or your laptop or any personal computer for that matter, and they decrypt it actually. Okay, sorry, they encrypt it so that you are not able to access any of its content. And that computer or laptop might have very important documents, and just because you require that document in any case, they tend to charge you amounts in lakhs and crores and maybe beyond that also. So that type of crime is basically called as your ransomware or cyber extortion. So similarly, cyber crimes against property, that is your data theft. I have some important data in my laptop, mobile. That is, I mean, someone steals that data. Unauthorized computer trespassing. Okay, again, IPR infringement, credit card frauds, and cyber vandalism. That is damaging a computer or bringing down your website. Many a times, what happens? Even the government sites, Indian government sites, are hacked. Okay, so that's also an example of cyber vandalism, because those services being provided through that particular website or portal will not be available. Okay, so these are some of the examples against property. Similarly, when it is done against government, it is basically cyber terrorism. So any sort of terrorist activities carried on the cyberspace. So when I say cyberspace, that is any space for that matter, the virtual space, which is basically your internet, your smartphones, your mobiles, even for that matter, it can be ATMs also. Okay. So cyberspace is misused by the individuals and certain groups to threaten international governments and the citizens by cracking the official governmental or military websites. So that is basically cybercrime against the government. And please let me know if I'm not clear at any point of time, or at the end we can have a question and answer session as well. So few significant cyber crimes, considering the state of Sikkim in particular. Okay, so internet fraud I was talking about, right? So what is internet fraud? Just an example. So internet fraud is any kind of crime involving fraudulent business practices that is carried out primarily on the internet. Okay, so say for example, a website offers to sell Timiti, for example, at a very cheap price. So very few responded, but they were supplied with it. So the word about this spread like wildfire, and many responded, ordered TMT using their debit card and credit cards. Okay, so this website started collecting all these details of the debit card, credit cards. Okay, so the owners of the website later on then fled, taking the numerous debit card and credit cards. So that's an example of an internet fraud. Because as such, we call information technology, right? So it does not require any physical thing with you to do any transaction. The information itself is sufficient to proceed further with any sort of transaction using your financial credentials. Okay, so this was an example of an internet fraud. Okay, so denial of service, like I said earlier, it is an attempt to make a computer unavailable to its intended users. So the attackers overloads the resources by flooding the network with useless traffic. Similarly, harassments can take several forms. Okay, few of the example is persistent campaigns. That is, you have been sent lots and lots of mail. So I mean, clearing that mail itself takes maybe a day or something like that. Okay, so you are not able to differentiate which is your useful mail, which is a spam or something like that. Okay, so in the middle of these spams, you might get a very important thing and you might miss it. So that's also an example of a harassment. Defamation, sometimes over the social networks or through class networks or WhatsApp group or something like that, we take it very personally and start writing something which brings down the reputation of a particular person. So these are some examples of defamation, which is also an example of a cyber crime. Okay, so for example, all friends and relatives of Mrs. Radha were sent obscene email messages appearing to originate from her account. She was an activist against pornography. Group of people displeased with her views vowed to take revenge against her. So this type of defamation, okay. Pornography, all we know, as we all know, okay, especially child pornography is in the rise every day, okay, and because of the very nature of the internet, these problems are there. So because unlike a traditional case, we do not have jurisdiction actually, okay. A website might be there which might be operating from maybe UK, US, anywhere else in the world basically, okay, and the victims could be someone from India basically. So how do we deal with that type of cases? Okay, so that's why the content over the internet cannot be, I wouldn't say cannot be controlled. Of course, there are rules which will help us to control those things, but that is one of the reasons. The nature of the internet is the reason for such type of cases as well. Okay, so the pornography, yeah. So people like this, they are called as pedophiles. They are almost every year, okay, because in internet, in social media, I am a male of 40 years age, okay, but in social media I can be a very cute looking girl of 13 years of age and start chatting with other people, send friend requests, plan to meet up somewhere, and then the usual crimes happen basically. Okay. So this is also another problem. And chain mails, that is, sometimes we get a mail, right? If you forward this to maybe 20 people, maybe Lord Buddha will bless you with something, or if you do not do this, something will happen. So that type of chain mails are also examples of harassments. Coming back to phishing, okay, which is a very common crime, the most common among all. Okay, what happens in phishing is it's a criminal and fraudulent process of attempting to acquire sensitive information. And what type of sensitive information? Such as usernames, passwords, credit card or bank details, by masquerading or pretending as a trustworthy entity in an electronic communication. Okay, so the advice that we give, or what we need to do in order to avoid becoming a victim of phishing scams, is we should never respond to requests for personal information via email or via SMS or anything of that matter. Okay, so just to give you an example what phishing looks like, okay, we tend to, it could be you also who might be getting this type of things. Okay, so I got an email from I'm from the income tax. Okay, and as we all know, every year once the financial year completes, so we might have paid extra tax, so we might get some refund back from the government. Okay, so on a similar line, a mail was received which stated like, since you have paid extra, you will be getting refund. Please fill the given link given there to fill up your details. So thinking, because everything looks genuine, right? The way the mail has come, everything, it even has this .gov and the email ID also over here, right? So everything seems to be authentic. So that's why I click on that link and go there. So this is the site where I land. Okay, so as seen from this particular slide, see, everything looks, I do not have any doubt on this site like it's a fake or something at this point of time. Okay, and there's a link which says tax fund online form, tax refund online form. So I click on that and I land in this particular page. Okay, so just see the details that it is asking. Okay, card holder name, date of birth, and just to bring your notice, there is something called as ATM pin also that is being asked. Okay, there are some people, okay, whenever there is no sensitization, people tend to fill up even this ATM pins also, and they happily fill up this form and click on submit. Okay, so I thought this information would have gone to the income tax department of government of India, but that's not the case actually. Okay, that was a, till now whatever I was saying, that was a fake website. Okay, the original website was this basically. So everything looks similar to the original one, no doubt. Okay, no way to differentiate. So what is that one thing which helps us to differentiate? Is there is only one thing that can differentiate. Okay, two websites can look very much 100% same. Only one thing cannot be same in two websites. That is your website name or something called as your URL. Okay, so if the original website address was incometaxindia.gov.in, the fake was something like this basically. But we never tend to, we tend to take it for granted, and if it looks similar to Google or Facebook or something, we just proceed further, assume it is Facebook. But when we submit the details later on, we realize it was not Facebook basically. Okay, so one important thing that has to be observed is the URL is the only thing that will differentiate two particular websites. So that is one thing. And another thing is we should not directly click on the link, rather open that link in the browser, because if it is a fake website, okay, in that case it will show no such website appears or no such website exists. Okay. Similarly, in another case, Punjab National Bank, here also it sends the same sort of thing, like we need to update your details or something, please fill up your details. So it gives a link, I click on this link, okay, and go forward. Similar thing appears here, okay, credit card number, expiration date, ATM pin, on all those things. I fill up this thing assuming it's Punjab National Bank, but no, it's not. But never did I look at the URL at the top. So had I looked here, maybe the name would have given me a hint, like it might not be Punjab National Bank. Okay, so that is one of the thing. And if we do not click on the link, rather copy and paste that link, and if that website does not exist, it will give you a message something like that. So we need to avoid clicking on such links. Okay, so anyways, coming back, that was phishing. Similarly, cyber extortion, that is an attack or threat to attack to demand extortion money, that is ransomware, which we discussed earlier. Software piracy, okay, so any software that is built by a company, it can be either open source or it can be a license. So the softwares, mainly your Windows or the MS Word, MS Excel, PowerPoint, that we regularly use in our office and day-to-day work, are actually licensed software. But I doubt how many of us would be using the licensed version after buying the license. Okay, many of us are still using software piracy, but if caught, it is a crime and we will be behind the bars. Okay, similarly, identity theft, that means I log in as Mr. X and pretending to be Mr. X, I do something over the cyberspace. So that is your identity theft. And a cyber espionage, that is hacking into the system and gathering confidential information. So these were some of the cyber crimes, the categories, and what is the situation in case of cyber crimes. Okay. Now moving to the next aspect of this particular session, that is the cyber laws. So what do we have in place? Okay. Earlier to prior to 2000, there was no particular case, I mean the act or anything in India which was there specifically for the cyber space actually. Okay. In 2000, this act came up, and it is mainly, the main purpose of this particular act is to give legal recognition to e-commerce or your electronic commerce, because lots of business is being happening over the internet, over the digital media, right? Similarly, a lot of e-governance projects coming up, right? So they also need to be recognized. So another purpose was to facilitate filing of electronic records with the government. And since because of the internet and digital media, lots of crimes started happening, okay, which could be traditional crimes or a purely IT-based crimes. That's why addressing that type of cases was very important. So another main purpose of the cyber law is the defining and penalizing various cyber crimes. Okay. So what does it cover, or what is IT Act in, if we see it broadly? It addresses the electronic contracts. Okay, it addresses the use of electronic records and digital signatures that we use for signing of the documents and all. Various e-governance aspects. Okay, the various computer crimes that are being committed. So both the cyber contraventions as well as the offences are being addressed by this Act. Obscenity in electronic form, including the child pornography. So there are specific sections under this IT Act which deals with this type of cases. Okay, your data protection and privacy. Okay, many times what happens, we give our data. Okay, say for example, I have submitted my personal information to Facebook basically. So it's the responsibility of the Facebook to keep my data in a very secure way, because that is my private information as such, right? And so that type of cases like your data protection and privacy are also there, covered under this IT Act. Cyber security and cyber terrorism, okay, and your electronic surveillance and blocking and monitoring of sites. So like I was telling, mentioning earlier, we can block certain websites, okay, but as per some orders or something, it has to be as per the guidelines of this IT Act. So that aspect is also covered under the IT Act. And the regulatory mechanism in terms of setting up a process of education under the educating officer and cyber appellate tribunal is also there. So we cannot cover all these sections and the details in the given time period. So just for your overview, the IT Act 2000 has 13 chapters, 94 sections and 4 schedules. Okay, the first 14 sections deals with some legal aspects concerning your digital signatures only. Further, Other sections deals with certifying authorities, because whenever you take a digital signature, it is given by a particular CA, that is a certifying authorities, who are licensed to issue digital signature certificates. And these main sections are the section 43 to 47, which talks about the penalties and the compensations in case of cyber cases. And 48 to 64 deals with tribunals appeal to high court, and 65 to 79 of the act deals with the offenses. Okay, so actually what has happened is, whenever this IT act came out, it made changes or amendments in other acts also. And the most important act that was amended was your evidence act, basically. Okay, so under section 65 there has been inclusion of electronic evidence in your evidence act also, just because this IT act came out and various cases of cyber nature had to be dealt. So that type of amendments is also made in your evidence act as well. So few maybe one or two case sections I can just talk about. Okay, so section 43 talks about penalty and compensation for damage that was done to the computer or the computer system. Okay, that's a penalizable thing. Okay, similarly, compensation for failure to protect data, the one I was talking about. Okay, there are a lot of cases. Sometimes you book airline flights, okay, and give lot of information. Recently also some of the airlines, and what happens, some cyber criminals hack into their website, and our data is at danger actually, right? So that should not happen actually. So in that type of cases, how should it be dealt? The section is section 43A. Okay. Similarly, the cyber contraventions, the section 43A to J deals with all of the cyber offenses, that is your unauthorized access to data, information, or computer database. Okay, so cases like your unauthorized access to a computer system, unauthorized downloading, copying, or extraction of data. Okay, just because it's available in the internet does not mean like it's free for us to be used. Okay, everything will have a copyright or something, the movies, the songs, so it should not be taken for granted. So such cases, right, or introducing viruses or computer containment, causing damages, causing disruption, denial of access. So these type of things are under your contraventions under the section 43A to J. Few some other important sections. 66C, punishment for identity theft. Okay. We talked about identity theft, right? That means someone uses my identity, my digital identity, and tries and commits some type of crime. So that particular section is here 66C. Similarly, for violation of privacy, it is 66E. Punishment for cheating by personation by using computer resource, 66D. And cyber terrorism is explicitly covered in your section 66F. Okay, so that was just a glimpse of your IT Act, or your I would say the cyber laws that we have in India. Okay, so now moving to the main part, the appreciation of the digital evidence or the electronic evidence. So as we all of us know, electronic evidence, right? So electronic evidence as such is any evidence that exists in the digital form. Okay, so it could be a text, it could be a image, it could be a WhatsApp message, it could be a email, it could be some files in your computer, some anything in your computing device. So any evidence that exists in the digital form is your electronic evidence. So in other words, I can say electronic evidence means that evidence which existing in electronic intangible form and is being now produced in the tangible form. Okay, why the reason why it has to be intangible? Because in many of the cases, say for example, a mail is sent by a victim, a criminal to a victim. Okay, where does this email reside? Actually, it resides in the server basically. So it's not possible to get the server to the courtroom and then analyze it or something like that, right? So that's why electronic evidence are a little bit different than the usual evidences, for two reasons. One is because of its nature, tangibility and all, and second, it is very much what to say, it is prone to damage actually. Okay, it can have duplicate nature basically. Say for example, password. You can also have a password, one another person also can have a password. Unlike a key to a door, which only one copy we have, in case of password, it can be multiple basically. Okay, so even after stealing also, the original password can be with you basically. So these are few of the characteristics of the electronic evidence, which makes it little bit different and difficult also many times to handle and analyze. Okay. So in general, any evidence that exists in the digital form, may it be video, audio, text, images, anything of that sort, is something called as your electronic evidence. Okay, so the entire process of procuring electronic evidence is controlled by human agencies. We all of us agree, right? The law enforcement agencies, they go to the crime site. They are the person who actually take all of these things and control the collection of the evidence, seizure of the device, and all those things. Okay. So since it is being controlled by the human agencies, one important question that arises with respect to your electronic evidence is, can it be manipulated or tampered with? That is the most important thing that needs to be understood. Okay, so normally what happens is there are different type of digital evidences. Okay, normally any data or anything that runs in a computer is either a data or a program. And when I say computer, I do not mean a typical computer and with a CPU. Okay, even a smartphone of today is referred as a computer. So when I'm telling computer, the word computer, I refer to any of the computing devices as such, including your smartphones also. So anything that is there inside your mobile phone or your computer, laptop, PC, anything, it is either a data or a program. Okay, and this data is further classified into different categories. One is your volatile and another is your non-volatile. Okay, volatile means the content is there in a computer only till the point your computer is powered on. The moment you shut it down, those contents are washed off basically. So normally the place of the computer where such information is stored is something called as your RAM or your random access memory. That is your RAM, which is a volatile memory. That means तपाईले कम्प्युटरलाई अन गर्नुभएको छ, चलाइराख्नु भएको छ, के काम गर्नु हुँदैछ है, जे पनि खोल्नु हुँदैछ, फेसबुक खोल्नु भयो, एमएस वर्डमा एउटा डकुमेन्ट खोल्नु भयो, कुनै वेबसाइट अनलाइन सपिङको वेबसाइट खोल्नु भयो, जे पनि खोल्नु भएको छ, गीत खोलेर सुनिराख्नु भएको छ है, जे पनि खोल्नु भएको छ, कहाँ खोलिँदैछ, तपाईको र्याममा खोलिएको छ। त्यही कारण कोही बेला बत्ती अचानक गएर फेरि आउनु भयो भने गीत आफै त बज्दैन नि त त्यो, हैन, या अघि खोलिराखेको आफै उयो हुँदैन, आफै फेरि खोल्नु पर्छ। That's why it is said it is a volatile memory, किनभने जबसम्म त्यो पावर अफ गरेको छैन त्यति बेलासम्म मात्रै त्यो कन्टेन्ट र्याममा छ। अफ गरिसकेपछि सक्यो बेसिकली, केही त्यहाँनेरि केही भेटिने छैन अघि खोलेको। त्यसैले नि तपाईको नन भोलाटाइल भनेको जसमा चाहिँ पर्मानेन्टली स्टोर्ड छ पुरा डेटा है। सो एक्जाम्पल्स के हो नन भोलाटाइलको? तपाईको एसडीडी, दैट इज योर हार्ड डिस्क ड्राइभ, राइट, र तपाईको सीडी, डीवीडी, यूएसबी ड्राइभ्स लाइक यो पेन ड्राइभ्स। ओके, अहिले त एसडीडी को बदली तपाईको एसडीडी पनि आएको छ, सलिड स्टेट ड्राइभ, एसएसडी। ओके, दैट इज इवन मोर फास्टर देन योर एसडीडी। बट all of these devices that I have talked about, your SDD, CD, DVD, USB drives like your pen drives and all, पहिलाको floppy drive disk and all, are all examples of non-volatile memory because त्यहाँनेरि भएको information is permanent in nature. It is not, it does not go off if I turn off the computer basically. Okay, and sometimes there are semi-volatile memory also, जसमा चाहिँ तपाईको टेम्पोरेरी फाइल्स या लगिन डाटा, जुनलाई चाहिँ कुकीज पनि भनिन्छ नि, तपाईको मोबाइलमा पनि कोही बेला तपाईले गएर टेम्पोरेरी फाइल्सहरु डिलिट गर्नुहुन्छ, दोस आर सेमी volatile. That means they are there for some given point of time, but हमेशा त्यहाँ भइबस्छ भन्ने पनि जरुरी छैन। Okay, now coming to the evidence point of view, what is what and how important and how important it is to appreciate the digital evidence. Investigating officer or the law enforcement agency is said to be very lucky if he finds a computer at the crime site which is on भइराखेको कम्प्युटर या केही भेट्यो भने त्यो जस्तो राम्रो केही पनि हैन। Why? The reason is because he will be able to capture all the volatile memory there. Okay, र volatile memory मा के हुन्छ, यस्तो यस्तो कुरा जुन चाहिँ तपाईले सिज गरेर ल्याएर पछि एनालाइज गर्दा पनि भेट्नु हुँदैन, यस्तो कुराहरु हुन्छ। Say for example, तपाईले फेसबुकमा लगइन गर्नुभएको छ, फेसबुकको युजर आइडी पासवर्ड कहाँ हुन्छ, तपाईको र्याममा हुन्छ। यो त भिक्टिमलाई पक्रेर ल्याएर, भिक्टिमलाई हैन क्रिमिनललाई पक्रेर ल्याएर सोध्दाखेरि पनि many of times they deny to give the user ID and password. It's very difficult basically, right? But if you are able to capture this volatile memory, that is your RAM, you will get lot of such information. कोसँग कनेक्ट भएको थियो, के खोलेको थियो, के गरेको थियो भन्ने सबै थाहा पाइन्छ। So it's very lucky, they are said to be lucky if there is the volatile memory, that is computer on छ भने है। off छ भने basically it is there in your SDD, CD, DVD मा चाहिँ सेभ गरेको डेटाहरु त्यहाँ पाइन्छ। Okay, so let's see how it is addressed. And another thing, very important thing, एकखेप कुनै पनि ल इन्फोर्समेन्ट एजेन्सी क्राइम साइटमा गयो, उनीहरूले सिज गर्नुभयो है, ल लिएर आउनुहुन्छ, मेन्टेनिङ दिस कस्टडी चेन अफ कस्टडी इज अल्सो भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट, जस्ट बिकज इट्स अ डिजिटल एभिडेन्स, किनभने यसलाई कसैले पनि ट्याम्पर पनि गर्न सक्छ, चेन्ज पनि गर्न सक्छ, बिकज द डिफेन्डिङ पार्टी माइट हेभ लट अफ क्लेम्स कि होइन यो त मेरो होइन, के अरे क्राइम साइटमा गरेको जुन पेन ड्राइभ थियो त्यो र यो त अर्कै हो भन्ने, that type of things might come up. Okay, so maintaining this chain of custody is also very important. And another is, like I said, there might be claims like that from the defending parties, right? कि होइन त्यो त अर्कै हो, यो त पुलिसहरूले आफै नै के डेटा इम्प्लान्ट गरेको पनि त हुनसक्छ त्यो ल्याएको हार्ड डिस्कमा या पेन ड्राइभमा या जे पनि त्यस्तो डिजिटल एभिडेन्समा. So how do we address that type of thing? Okay, that means how do we ensure the authenticity of the evidence that was collected when it was available at the crime site, and ensuring that it is the same device, exactly the same when it is being analyzed or studied at the courtroom or when it is under trial. Basically, that is one of the most important thing that to be understood under digital evidence. And for doing that, there are two important things that needs to be understood, which is the crux of something called as a cyber forensics. Okay, so what is that point? So the basic forensic methodology consists of acquiring the evidence without altering or damaging the original, authenticating that your recovered evidence is the same as the original seized data, and analyzing the data without modifying it. र यो जुन पनि काम छ, it is mostly done by some software tools, so it is mostly tool based. Okay, but whatever be the tool त यस्तो आज यो टुल छ, भोलि अर्को दिन अर्कै निक्लिन्छ, पर्सि अझै एडभान्स के टुल्सहरू निक्लिन्छ, तर बेसिक मेथोडोलोजी अलवेज रिमेन्स द सेम इभन दो टेक्नोलोजी इज चेन्जिङ ऱ्यापिडली. सो वाट इज द बेसिक मेथोडोलोजी चाहिँ के हो? बेसिकली समथिङ लाइक दिस. ओके, सो एउटा कुनै पनि क्राइम भयो, क्राइम भएको सिनमा गएर कहाँनिर भएको छ, के कुरा छ, के डिजिटल कुराहरू छ त्यहाँनिर, द्याट हेज टु बी आइडेन्टिफाइड. After identified, now it has to be seized and taken in the custody, right? So while seizing also, there are some process that needs to be done and ensured in case it is a digital evidence, and that part is something called as a hashing. Okay, HASHING. Hashing भनेको के हो? कुनै पनि एउटा फाइलको पनि ह्यासिङ गर्न सकिन्छ, या कुनै पनि एउटा स्टोरेज डिभाइसको पनि गरिन सक्छ, एउटा सिंगल फाइलको पनि गर्न सकिन्छ. यसको मतलब चाहिँ के हो भने, ह्यासिङ भनेको एउटा ह्यास भ्याल्यु निक्लिन्छ है. आई सो यु विथ एन एक्जाम्पल. एउटा ह्यास भ्याल्यु निक्लिन्छ, तर त्यो भ्याल्यु चाहिँ यति साह्रो युनिक हुन्छ कि अलिकति कमा पनि त्यो कन्टेन्टमा बदलेको छ भने इट विल नट जेनेरेट द सेम ह्यास. आई थिङ्क आई एम मेकिङ इट क्लियर, राइट? ह्यासिङ भनेको कस्तो भने, एउटा कुनै पनि कन्टेन्ट छ, त्यसको माथि एउटा कुनै एल्गोरिथम चलाइन्छ है, र एल्गोरिथम चलाएपछि एउटा हामीलाई युनिक नम्बर दिन्छ बेसिकली है. त्यो नम्बर चाहिँ कस्तो हो? इट इज सच सो युनिक कि अलिकति पनि तपाईँको उताको कन्टेन्टमा चेन्ज भयो भने त्यही ह्यास कहिले पनि जेनेरेट हुनै सक्दैन. सो द्याट्स वाइ क्राइम सिनमै चाहिँ हामीले एकखेप त्यसलाई ह्यास गरेर चाहिँ सिज गर्नुपर्ने. गर्दाखेरि के हुन्छ? एउटा ह्यास भ्याल्यु जेनेरेट हुन्छ, र पछि किनभने एकखेप सिज गरेपछि त के हुन्छ? पुलिसको कस्टडीमा आएपछि मेबी तपाईँको फोरेन्सिक ल्याबमा पठाउनु पर्ला है. अब त्यति बेला कसरी जान्नु कि त्यो त्यही हो कि होइन, त्यसको त्यही पहिला त्यो जुन सिज गरेको थियो त्यही डिभाइस हो कि होइन. त्यसरी नै अब कोर्टमा जाँदाखेरि प्रोसिडिङ्समा त्यही हो कि होइन त्यो थाहा हुँदैन. त्यही कारण तपाईँहरूले पनि याद गर्नु होला, जहिले पनि तपाईँकोमा कुनै पनि एउटा टुलले जेनेरेट गरेको एउटा रिपोर्ट, जुन पनि फोरेन्सिक ल्याबबाट आएको रिपोर्ट हुन्छ, त्यहाँनिर एउटा ह्यास भ्याल्यु हुन्छ जुन चाहिँ टाइप गरेको हुँदैन, अटोमेटिकली टुलले जेनेरेट गरेको हुन्छ. तर त्यो ह्यास भ्याल्यु चाहिँ अगर म्याच भएको छैन भने त्यहाँनिर अलग्गै देखाइदिइहाल्छ कि ह्यास म्याच भएन, त्यही कारण इट इज नट अथेन्टिकेटेड भन्ने त्यस्तो खालको म्यासेज आइहाल्छ. सो द बेसिक कन्सेप्ट इज टु ह्यास द एभिडेन्स वेन एभर इट इज बिङ सिज्ड. ओके, सो ह्यास भनेको कस्तो, म अलिकति तपाईँलाई एक्जाम्पलको साथमा बताइदिन्छु है. आई होप माई स्क्रिन इज स्टिल भिजिबल, राइट?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Say for example, मैले एउटा के लेखेको छ, दिस इज माई पेज भने है, र यसलाई मैले फाइल गरेर सेभ एज, र म सपोज डेस्कटपमा या ओके डेस्कटपमा म यसलाई SJA भनेर सेभ गर्दैछु यो फाइल है दिस इज माई पेज लेखेको छु यसलाई म बन्द गरिदिँदैछु है यसरी तपाईको यो ह्यासिङ यो त्यही हो कि होइन हेर्नुको लागि सेभरल टुल्स आर एभाइलेबल ओके बट अलवेज इट सुड बी अ फोरेन्सिकली साउन्ड टुल है यस्तो कुनै इन्टरनेटमा पाएको त्यस्तो होइन वान अफ द टुल्स इज बेसिकली ह्यासर एउटा छ है यो तपाईँहरूले पनि डाउनलोड गरेर हेर्दा हुन्छ बट आइ एम जस्ट सोइङ यु फर यर डेमोन्स्ट्रेसन ओके So, say for example, I'll say has individual files, right? र I'll say add files. र अघि मैले बनाएको जुन SJA भन्ने छ त्यो फाइल म सेलेक्ट गर्छु yes it is here open ओके र यो जुन ह्यासिङ गर्ने छ दुईटा एल्गोरिथम हुन्छ तपाईको MD5 दैट इज अ मेसेज डाइजेस्ट र SHA भन्ने छ सो एनी अफ देम क्यान बी युज सो आई सेड कम्प्युट SHA1 ह्यासेस भनेर जेनेरेट गरे गर्दाखेरि यहाँनेरि ह्यास यसको जेनेरेट भयो है त के जेनेरेट भएको रहेछ यसो उ गर्नुको लागि म एउटा यसलाई नोट गरिराख्छु अर्को नोटप्याडमा है यो मुनिको त त्यस्तो चाहिने कुरा छैन यहाँनेरि अन्त म खाली तपाईको यो मात्रै याद गर्छु दिस वाज योर ह्यास है अब म के गर्छु तपाईको यो फाइललाई म रिमुभ गर्छु रिमुभ सेलेक्टेड फाइल्स है र अघिको जुन फाइल थियो मेरो डेस्कटपमा भएको यो फाइललाई म फेरि एकखेप मोडिफाई गर्छु यहाँ छ है दिस इज माई पेज फर टुडे या केही भनेर यसरी मैले चेन्ज गरेँ यसलाई र फाइल सेभ भने बन्द गरेँ है अब यो चेन्ज भएको फाइलको म ह्यास जेनेरेट गर्न खोज्छु ओके सो व्हाट आई विल डू एड फाइल्स सरी ह्यास इन्डिभिजुअल फाइल्स एड फाइल्स त अघि के म SJ भन्ने फाइल छान्छु ओके ओपन एन्ड आई अगेन से कम्प्युट SHA ह्यास त फेरि यहाँ SHA ह्यास जेनेरेट गर्यो यसलाई मैले कपी गरेर सपोज अघिको यसमा मुनिपट्टि म पेस्ट गरिदिन्छु अरूको त तपाईको यो चाहिने कुरा हैन है सो आई रिमुभ दिस थिंग्स एन्ड आई सी सो जस्ट सी द फर्स्ट फाइल फर्स्ट टाइम जब मैले गर्दाखेरि यो ह्यास पाए चेन्ज गरेपछि मैले जब यसलाई यो गर्दैछु मैले यो ह्यास पाउँदैछु सो द्याट मिन्स इभन अ स्मल मैले त अलिकति ठुलै चेन्ज गरिपठाएँ त्यहाँनिर है चेन्ज त यति सानो पनि फर द्याट म्याटर के लेख्नु त टाढोको कुरा हो त्यो त साह्रो ठुलो चेन्ज भइगयो है एकखेप खोल्नुभयो भने पनि त्यो फाइल चेन्ज भयो किन एउटा प्रपर्टी हुन्छ फाइलको लास्ट एक्सेस डेट है त तपाईले खोल्नु मतलब त्यसको एक्सेस गर्नुभएको लास्ट डेट तपाईले चेन्ज गर्नु हुँदैछ इन द्याट केस अल्सो दिस पर्टिकुलर ह्यास विल बी डिफरेन्ट दे क्यान जस्ट अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड कति चाहिँ यो इट इज हुन्छ नि आई मिन इट क्यान बी टेम्पर्ड सो मच बेसिकली है यो डिजिटल एभिडेन्स बट ह्यासिङ भन्ने जुन टेक्नोलोजी छ यसले अलिकतिको चेन्जलाई पनि तपाईको एक्नोलेज गरेर अलगै ह्यास जेनेरेट गरिहाल्छ अनि अर्को कुरा इट इज नेभर दि रिभर्स ओके द्याट मिन्स गिभन अ ह्यास आई क्यानट जेनेरेट अ कन्टेन्ट फ्रम दिस विच विल म्याच दिस ह्यास बुझ्नुभयो इट इज द अदर वे कन्टेन्टको ह्यास बनिन्छ ह्यास कीबाट यो ह्यास भ्याल्युबाट कन्टेन्ट बनाउन सक्छ So this is the logic which is used by the cyber forensic tools and which needs to be used by the law enforcement agencies at the seizure site to ensure that they have seized it in a proper way. जसरी तपाईको नर्मल ट्रेडिसनल एभिडेन्समा उहाँहरूले अब केही आफ्नो उयो लगाउनुहुन्छ है सिल लगाउनुहुन्छ या आफ्नो के लगाउनुहुन्छ है बायोमेट्रिक या केही similar to that is hashing for your digital evidence okay that was one most important thing now since I said अलिकति चेन्ज गर्दाखेरि पनि त्यो एभिडेन्स त बदलिने रहेछ चेन्ज हुने रहेछ है so then how do we analyze that thing right because I have to see what was there in that hard disk criminalले के गरेछ कता के पठाएछ फोटोस यो त्यो सबै हेर्नु पर्यो okay so if I have to see that thing I have to open that particular thing but I am telling the moment I open it, it will change basically, which will not be admissible in the court because hash values will be different. So it will not be authenticate. Yeah, it will be telling like पहिलाको अर्कै हो अहिलेको अर्कै हो and the defending parties will have a positive edge in that, right? So another thing, important thing is whenever it is to be worked, never work on the original evidence. कुनै पनि काम गराइन्छ एनालाइज गरिन्छ या फोरेन्सिक ल्याबतिर पठाइन्छ इट हेज टु बी सेन्ट इन अ इमेज एक्चुअली र इमेज भनेको चाहिँ के हो भने एक्ज्याक्ट जुन अघिको एभिडेन्स थियो तपाईँको, मे इट बी हार्ड डिस्क, मे इट बी पेन ड्राइभ, मे बी सिडी ड्राइभ, जे पनि छ त्यसको एक्ज्याक्ट रेप्लिका हेज टु बी क्रिएटेड. Okay, and that process in cyber forensics or digital forensics is called as imaging, IMAGING. Okay, कोही बेला क्लोन पनि भनिन्छ त्यसलाई है, but it is little bit different than doing a normal copy. यसलाई सिम्पल एउटा यताबाट उता कपी गरेको जस्तो कुरा होइन. त्यो म अहिले एकछिनको स्लाइडमा तपाईँलाई देखाउँछु है. इमेज गर्नु एकदम इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ. किनभने एक्चुअल एभिडेन्समा काम गर्नु हुँदैन रहेछ है. त्यो एक्चुअल एभिडेन्सको कपी बनाउनु पर्ने रहेछ. कपी बनाउनुलाई चाहिँ डिजिटल फोरेन्सिक या साइबर फोरेन्सिकमा चाहिँ इमेजिङ भनिँदो रहेछ है. त्यो गरेपछि चाहिँ एन्ड द्याट प्रोसेस इज बेसिकली कल्ड एज यर एक्विजिसन एन्ड अल दोज थिङ्स. दिस थर्ड स्टेज. नाउ एकखेप एक्वायर गरिसकेको छ, आयोकोमा छ, नाउ हि माइट सेन्ड इट टु दि एफएसएल है. त्यहाँनिर फेरि तपाईँहरूको अथेन्टिकेसन हुन्छ. इट इज रिटन कम्पेयर ह्यास भ्याल्यु जेनेरेटेड विथ द डेटा द्याट वाज ब्याक टु प्रुभ द्याट फाइल्स हेभ नट चेन्ज. त त्यहाँनिर पनि फेरि एकखेप ह्यास गरिन्छ त्यो डेटाको है. त्यसले त्यही जेनेरेट, त्यही पहिलाकै ह्यास भ्याल्यु जेनेरेट गर्यो भने त्यही नै भ्याल्यु हो, त्यही नै डेटा रहेछ भनेर थाहा पाइन्छ. एन्ड दे प्रोसिड फर्दर विथ द्याट पर्टिकुलर इमेज टु फर्दर स्टडी एन्ड प्रिपेयर अ रिपोर्ट अन द्याट. They analyze it, so process of methodologically examining digital data, right? But another important thing is why it is so much important is one only aspect I will tell. There are several such aspects. Data is never deleted actually. हामी त भन्छौँ नि क्रिमिनलले डिलिट गरेको रहेछ भन्छ. यसो हेर्दाखेरि हामीले डिलिट भएको देखिन्छ. तर तपाईँको जुन फिजिकल ड्राइभमा गएर हेर्नु भएको छ भने त्यो कुरा डिलिट भएको हुँदैन. ओके, इफ यु आर लकी you will get the exact same thing back actually. It can be recovered by the forensic tools basically. के हुन्छ भने सपोज तपाईँको हार्ड डिस्कमा पहिला एउटा फाइल थियो, त्यसलाई डिलिट गर्यो भने त्यो स्पेस या त अर्को फाइलले ओभरराइट गरेको हुन्छ है, कि त त्यसको एउटा पार्ट मात्रै अकुपाई भएको हुन्छ कुनै अरू फाइलले. कम्प्लिटली त्यो वाइप अफ भएको हुँदैन, डेटा वाइप अफ भएको हुँदैन. द्याट्स वाइ दिस एनालिसिस इज भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट, सो द्याट क्रिमिनलले डिलिट गरेको कुराहरू पनि के अब केही नदेखिने कुराहरू पनि इट क्यान बी रिकभर्ड एन्ड फाउन्ड आउट बेसिकली. त्यही कारण कसैले फोटो एडिट गरेर के मर्ड फोटो छ, से फर इक्जाम्पल कुनै एउटा चाइल्ड पोर्नोग्राफीको केस छ एन्ड दि विक्टिम वाज फाउन्ड एन्ड हिज ल्यापटप्स वेयर इन्भेस्टिगेटेड है. सो देयर यतिकै माथिबाट कम्प्युटर खोलेर अपरेटिङ सिस्टम खोलेर यसो हेऱ्यो भने त देखिँदैन त्यो फाइल. बट दि रिपोर्ट द्याट द फोरेन्सिक टुल डु एन्ड दि एनालिसिस द्याट इज बिन डन, there we can find many of the times the deleted files also, because in practically kehi pani delete bhako hudaina. It might be the case that area was overwritten by some other files, but actually delete kehi bhako hudaina hai. So that's why analysis become very important hai. अब टाइम कम्ती छ त्यही कारण यसको डिटेलमा म बेसी जान सकिनँ. त्यसरी नै एकखेप एनालाइज गरेपछि एउटा तपाईँको रिपोर्ट हुन्छ विच हेज टु बी प्रेजेन्टेड है. एन्ड अफकोर्स इट हेज टु बी प्रिजर्भ अल्सो एट दि till the end, till the trial. Okay, so this is the digital forensic procedure that needs to be followed है. सो अघि मैले जुन भन्दै थिएँ तपाईँको है, नर्मली अब मैले त खोलिसक्दाखेरि पनि त तपाईँको चेन्ज भइहाल्छ. यस, ओके, खोलिसक्दाखेरि पनि त तपाईँको चेन्ज भइहाल्ने रहेछ भन्ने जुन पोइन्ट थियो है. हाउ डु वी ट्याकल द्याट पोइन्ट? सो अन्डर डिजिटल फोरेन्सिक्स एउटा तपाईँको राइट ब्लकर भन्ने पनि एउटा कन्सेप्ट हुन्छ है. राइट ब्लकरले के गर्छ भने जस्ट सोन इन दिस पर्टिकुलर इमेज इन दिस स्लाइड है, जुन तपाईँको सोर्स ड्राइभ छ, जुन मतलब एभिडेन्स जहाँनिर एक्चुअल ओरिजिनल छ त्यहाँनिर यो लगाएपछि तपाईँको त्यहाँनिर केही पनि राइट हुन सक्दैन है. राइट हुन सक्दैन मतलब तपाईँको लास्ट एक्सेस डेट पनि चेन्ज हुँदैन, केही कन्टेन्ट पनि केही पनि मोडिफाई हुँदैन. त्यही कारण ल इन्फोर्समेन्ट एजेन्सी या फर्स्ट रेस्पोन्डर्सहरूकोमा यो पर्टिकुलर राइट ब्लकर डिभाइसेस पनि हुनुपर्ने है, ताकि उहाँहरू जब जान्छ उहाँले सबभन्दा पहिला चाहिँ यो राइट ब्लकर डिभाइस लगाइदिइहाल्नु पर्ने. ओरिजिनल एभिडेन्समा त्यसको ह्यासिङ गरेर ह्यास निकाल्नु पर्ने. र अब तिनीहरू गर्न सकिएन भने पनि आइसकेपछि चाहिँ त्यही एभिडेन्समा काम गर्नु भएन, त्यसको एउटा इमेज बनाएर चाहिँ इमेजको माथि काम गरेर अगाडि बढ्नु पर्ने है. सो यो पर्टिकुलर डिभाइस इज कल्ड एज हियर राइट ब्लकिङ डिभाइस, जसले चाहिँ तपाईँको राइट गर्नुदेखि एभोइड गरिदिन्छ. त्यो त्यसमा केही पनि राइट हुन र अर्को एउटा टुल इम्पोर्टेन्ट टुल्सहरू त्यसरी साइबर फोरेन्सिक टुल्स छ है वान इम्पोर्टेन्ट थिङ आई वुड लाइक टु मेन्सन इज इट्स नट लाइक कुनै पनि एउटा वर्ड फाइलमा सबमिट गरेको रिपोर्ट हुन सक्दैन है वेन इट कम्स टु दि जुडिसियल ओके दि दि आई मिन दि एप्रुभड सफ्टवेयर्स लाइक तपाईँको वेन इट कम्स टु हार्ड डिस्कको लागि छ भने त तपाईँको साइबर चेक भन्ने छ बेसिकली है त त्यसको एउटा इमेजिङ सफ्टवेयर जुन छ ट्रु ब्याक भन्ने छ यो गभर्मेन्ट अफ इन्डिया हाम्रै मिनिस्ट्रीले नै बनाएको हो है सपोज यहाँनिर हेर्नुहुँदैछ सिज भन्दाखेरि त्यसले सिज गरिदिन्छ एक्वायर मतलब एक्वायर गरिन्छ सो सिज भनेको तपाईँको ह्यास जेनेरेट गर्नु एक्वायर भनेको तपाईँको इमेज बनाउनु or both of them can be done together so it is mentioned as seize and acquire भनेर र यसरी नै एउटा अर्को मेसिन पनि हुन्छ विच इज कल्ड एज यो फ्रेड मेसिन द्याट इज ए फोरेन्सिक रिकभरी एन्ड एभिडेन्स डिभाइस भनिन्छ है यसको थ्रुबाट पनि यो इमेजिङ या तपाईँको ह्यासिङहरू गर्न सकिन्छ है सो जस्ट फर द इन्फर्मेसन सिन्स वी हेभ एन इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर हियर इन सिक्किम इट सेल्फ कुनै पनि एउटा डे कुनै पनि बादमा फ्युचरमा इफ इफ एनी अफ दि पार्टिसिपेन्ट्स कोही पनि इच्छुक हुनुहुन्छ यो हेर्नु र उ गर्नु छ भने वी क्यान प्लान फर द्याट अल्सो वी हेभ अ स्टेट अफ आर्ट इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर हियर एट नाइलेट ग्याङ्टोक विच इज बिङ युज बाई द ल इन्फोर्समेन्ट एजेन्सिज अल्सो फ्रम टाइम टु टाइम उहाँहरूको पनि ट्रेनिङ भइरहेको छ र यस्तो खालको सफ्टवेयर टुल्सहरू सबै यहाँनिर एभाइलेबल छ है र कमिङ टु द लास्ट पार्ट विच आई वाज टकिङ अबाउट इमेजिङ भन्ने डिफ्रेन्स देखाउनुको लागि मैले यो पर्टिकुलर स्लाइड राखेको छु है डिफ्रेन्स के छ कपिङ र इमेजिङमा कपिङ भन्ने यो फर्स्ट इक्जाम्पल जुन देखाउँछु त्यो हो तपाईँको कपिङ ओके कपिङमा के हुन्छ यहाँनिर तपाईँको फाइल छ एउटा ड्राइभ हो यो है यतापट्टि सिलिन्डर जुन देखाएको छ यो तपाईँको एउटा फाइल या कुनै पनि एउटा हार्ड डिस्क भन्नुहोस् यो अर्को हार्ड डिस्क हो यताको कुरा यता म कपी गर्न खोज्छु त कपी गर्दाखेरि कस्तो हुँदो रहेछ तपाईँको है यसरी रातो के थियो त्यहाँ डिलिट भइसकेको कुराहरू मतलब यो जुन सोर्स ड्राइभ छ तपाईँको त्यहाँनिर सबै कुरा छ नि अहिले एक्टिभ फाइल्सहरू पनि छ मतलब अहिले देखिने फाइल्सहरू पनि छ र पहिला थियो तर डिलिट भइसकेको फाइल्सहरू पनि छ है तर हामी नर्मल जब कपी गर्छौँ पहिला डिलिट भएको कपी त तपाईँको कपी भएर यता आउँदैन नि पेन ड्राइभमा पनि तपाईँले हेर्नुभयो भने एउटा फोल्डरदेखि अर्को फोल्डरमा कपी गर्नुभयो भने पहिला डिलिट गरेको कुरा त कपी हुँदैन है सो दिस इज दि नर्मल कपी विच वी नर्मली आर फ्यामिलियर यसमा के हुन्छ तपाईँको एक्टिभ फाइल्सहरू मात्रै तपाईँको यसरी कपी हुन्छ सो इफ यु सी तपाईँको पहिला टेस्ट डट डक भन्ने एउटा फाइल रहेछ जुन चाहिँ डिलिट भइसकेको रहेछ है यहाँनिर सिन्स अल द इन्फर्मेसन इज स्टोर्ड एज जिरोस एन्ड वान्स इन टर्म्स अफ कम्प्युटर वेन वी टक अबाउट डिजिटल मिडिया कुनै पनि एबिसिडी 1 to 3 लेखेको कुनै पनि डेटा हुँदैन इट इज जस्ट जिरोस एन्ड वान्स है द्याट्स वाइ टु रिप्रेजेन्ट द्याट इट इज रिटन एज 0 and 1 तर कुनै कुरा डिलिट भएको छ भने यता हेर्नुहोस् कपी गरिसक्दाखेरि त्यो डिलिट भएको कुराहरू यता आएको छैन ओके दिस वाज कपी इमेजिङ गर्दाखेरि के हुन्छ तपाईँको यो डल्लै हेर्नुहोस् डिलिट भएको जे पनि थियो भन्नुको मतलब तपाईँको लजिकल कन्टेन्ट्स मात्रै होइन तपाईँको फिजिकल लेभलमा हार्ड डिस्कको या पेन ड्राइभको जस्तो स्ट्रक्चर छ त्यो एन्टायर स्पेस स्ट्रक्चरै तपाईँको कपी भएर यता आउँदैछ ओके एन्ड सिन्स यहाँनिर तपाईँको डिलिटेड फाइल्स योहरू पनि छ द्याट्स वाइ वेन वी वर्क अन दिस इमेज इट इज एज गुड एज वर्किङ अन दिस ओरिजिनल थिङ बिकज फ्रम हियर अल्सो वी क्यान रिकभर दि डिलिटेड फाइल्स एन्ड अल दोज थिङ्स सो द्याट इज द डिफरेन्स बिट्विन कपिङ एन्ड इमेजिङ एन्ड साइबर फोरेन्सिकको केसमा हामी जब पनि कपी भन्छौँ द्याट हेज टु बी अ फोरेन्सिक इमेज नट अ नर्मल कपी ओके सो नेभर वर्क अन दि ओरिजिनल एभिडेन्स इट इज अलवेज वर्क अन दि इमेजेस क्रिएटेड इन अ साइबर फोरेन्सिकको साउन्ड मेथडमा क्रिएट भएको एन्ड देयर आर सफ्टवेयर टुल्स टु डु अल अफ दिस वान अफ दोज इज अ साइबर चेक एन्ड फ्रेड विच आई जस्ट told you okay so I think I am almost there so that's why I mean I if you want I can take some other topics but now I leave that thing to maybe the director sir or SGA they can direct me if something else is to be covered or else considering the time that was given I am almost there I think okay so anything that any questions anything I can take it up
yes learning judicial officer any issues which you think
it's required to be clarified
then please kindly put
that question to the relevant questions person yes sir
Good morning, sir. Sir, I have one question.
yes please
So this is Urvashi Pradhan from Mangan, GM Mangan. So,
Okay,
sir,
yes,
you
ma'am.
were talking about volatile memory. So I had a query. If once it is in a volatile memory, the computer is switched off, then the memory erases. We cannot retrieve it. Is it, sir?
Yes, right.
So how do we generate hash value for volatile memory? Whatever the contents are there in the volatile memory, is there any possibility where we can generate hash value?
No, I mean, if you are able to get the volatile memory, okay, तपाईँको FTK imager भन्ने एउटा छ टुल छ है, that is also I mean it is acceptable by the court also है. जब तपाईँले इमेज लिनुहुन्छ नि, that time itself it creates a hash value, okay, but तपाईँले अगर volatile memory नै क्याप्चर गर्नु भएको छैन भने there is no question of generating a hash for that. बुझ्नुभयो मैले के भन्ने खोजे? I mean to say, if तपाईँले volatile memory क्याप्चर गर्नु हुँदैछ भने जुन प्रोसेस छ नि, जुन टुल युज गरेर तपाईँले गर्नुहुन्छ है, त्यसले नै त्यसको ह्याश भ्यालु पनि जेनेरेट गरेर दिइराखेको हुन्छ है. तर अगर तपाईँको कम्प्युटरै अफ छ भने त देयर इज नो क्वेसन अफ volatile at all, because volatile evidence will never appear, किनभने त्यो त लिनै त सकिएन. So there is no reason to take a hash for that.
Okay, I have another question as well.
Yes,
you were talking about delete gardakheri pani, with the data which have been deleted is always there. It is never completely deleted. It's either overridden or some other things will happen, but it is there in the system. What if we format the device? If we format the device, can we still retrieve the data?
Yes, it depends on what formatting you have used, right? So actually format गर्दाखेरि पनि के हुन्छ, तपाईको फर्मेट भनेको के हो, यसको तपाईको जुन दुईटा लेभल हुन्छ है. जब पनि हामीले हाम्रो हार्ड डिस्कमा त तपाईको ल्यापटप या केही खोलेर सी ड्राइभ डी ड्राइभमा जुन देख्नुहुन्छ, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अ लजिकल लेभल व्हिच इज शोन टु यु बाइ द अपरेटिङ सिस्टम. सो अपरेटिङ सिस्टमको लागि एउटा फाइल स्ट्रक्चर तपाईको एनटीएफएस भनिन्छ या ext32 आर द भेरियस फाइल फर्मेट्स है. तो यो एउटा कुन चाहिँ स्ट्रक्चरमा चाहिँ हायरार्कीमा बनाउनु भन्ने इज बेसिकली अ फर्मेटिङ बेसिकली है. तर अन्डरग्राउन्डमा जुन डेटा छ दैट इज अलवेज देयर, एक्चुअली अलवेज देयर. इन द केस इट क्यान ह्यापन कि पहिलाको जुन जग्गामा एउटा फाइललाई एलोकेट गरिएको थियो त्यही जग्गामा चाहिँ अब अर्को फाइल आएर एन्टायरली त्यही साइजको फाइल थियो र कम्प्लिटली ओभर रिटन भयो भने त द्याट इज एज गुड एज डिलिटेड. त्यसमा त हामी बेसी केही गर्न सकिँदैन है. बट मेनी टाइम्स वाट ह्यापन इज तपाईँको एउटा स्ल्याक स्पेस भन्ने बात छ. स्ल्याक स्पेस भनेको चाहिँ पहिलाको फाइल थियो तपाईँको 1000 बाइट्सको थियो अरे है, र त्यो फाइल डिलिट गर्नुभयो. त्यो फाइलको नाम थियो अरे 1.doc है. त्यो पछि तपाईँले अर्को फाइल बनाउनु भयो, त्यसलाई डिलिट गरेर 2.doc जुनको चाहिँ साइज त 500 बाइट्स है. And luckily, though you cannot control कि त्यही space, that is not in your control, that is in the control of the operating system. But assuming अघि के जुन 1000 बाइट्स वालाको फाइलको जुन लोकेसन थियो त्यही लोकेसन नै चाहिँ एलोकेट गरिदियो तपाईँको फाइल सिस्टमले यो पर्टिकुलर सेकेन्ड फाइल 500 बाइट्सको लागि पनि भने चाहिँ रिमेनिङ तपाईँको 500 बाइट्स इज स्टिल अनअकुपाइड विच इज यर स्ल्याक स्पेस. त्यो स्ल्याक स्पेसमा चाहिँ तपाईँको अघिको फर्स्टको 5000 बाइट्स वाला फाइलको केही न केही इन्फर्मेसन इज स्टिल देयर बेसिकली. So that's why you can take some portion from that while analyzing it. So it's a real life cases also. Many times तपाईको हुन्छ नि यो pornographic cases हरूमा है, we have recovered photos wherein the victim was wherein the criminal was telling कि I was never in that room or something like that. Okay, but luckily त्यही मान्छे र त्यो रुमको एउटा पार्ट मात्रै निक्ल्यो, others did not come in that image, but that was sufficient for me to move forward telling कि at least मान्छे र त्यही रुम देखिँदैछ, त his statement is false in that case है. So तपाईले जुन भन्नुभएको फर्मेटिङ इज जस्ट एउटा लजिकल स्ट्रक्चर. यो रुम यहाँ यतिवटा हुन्छ, यतिवटा सेक्टर्स, यतिवटा ट्र्याक्स हुन्छ, यसो गर्ने भन्ने इज यर फर्मेटिङ बेसिकली. बट अन्डरलाइन डेटा विल स्टिल बी देयर.
ओके, थ्याङ्क यू सो मच.
ओके, थ्याङ्क यू.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, yes, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes.
कसैको एउटा फेसबुक अकाउन्ट छ अरे सर, जहाँबाट चाहिँ फर इक्जाम्पल सरले भन्नुभयो सम डेरोगेटरी पोस्टहरू भएको छ या के भएको छ. What is the kind of evidence that the court needs to seek to pinpoint that this particular accounts belong to the person concerned भनेर नि सर? What is the evidence that the police requires to bring to the court to show that your account या त यो प्रिन्टआउट चाहिँ फल्नाले नै गरेको हो र he is the culprit भनेर चाहिँ कसरी चाहिँ पिन पोइन्ट गरौँ भनेर सर?
Okay, got your point, eh? So that's why actually I do not know to what extent the law enforcement agencies might be getting the data, eh? But as per the rule of the government, all the telecom service providers, your ISPs, are bound to provide certain data. Okay, certain data in terms of your call records, in terms of your internet records also. Okay, so there are dumps actually, DUMPS भनिन्छ है, IP dump, for example. So जस्तो तपाईले भनेको जस्तै example म दिँदैछु है, wherein this has helped. WhatsApp को messages, है, someone takes a screenshot of that WhatsApp message and communication between the criminal and the victim, and that is being brought as a evidence or something like that. Now how do you know? Because nowadays that can be faked. I mean, WhatsApp मा गरेको message जस्तै एउटा बनाउनु त कति पनि उयो लाग्दैन है. So how do you ensure that WhatsApp was used भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ र तपाईको जस्तो केसेसमा the law enforcement agencies need to ask for the IP dump or IPDR भनिन्छ है, किनभने many times nowadays people avoid the regular calls and call over the WhatsApp just because त्यो IP track हुँदैन भनेर. But many times they forget there is something called as your IPDR, जसमा चाहिँ तपाईको एउटा destination IP address भन्ने एउटा column हुन्छ. So that destination IP address is suppose Facebook खोलेको छ भने Facebook को, WhatsApp हो भने WhatsApp हो र त्यसको एउटा टाइम स्ट्याम्प पनि हुन्छ. So त्यो टाइम स्ट्याम्प यो टाइममा यति एक्सेस गरेको थियो कि थिएन भनेर that type of record will be available with all the TSPs and ISPs, and that is called as your IP dump or तपाईको जसरी तपाईको टावर डम्प लिन्छ है, कल डेटा रेकर्ड CDR हरु लिन्छ, त्यसरी नै in case of this particular thing also this is available. Secondly, law enforcement agencies हरुले आफ्नो official ID use गरेर चाहिँ जब Facebook लाई पठाउँछ, as per the rule they are bound to provide all the details कि यो रिक्वेस्ट कहाँबाट अपलोड भएको थियो, कुन चाहिँ IP बाट है. So that's why one unique thing that can be tracked back to the criminal is the IP address, because IP is assigned to a particular machine or a laptop, and that is unique in nature basically. So these type of things are there, and when this is analyzed using the tools, these things will be reflected in the report actually, sir. Did I answer your question, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Is there some kind of tool, sir, which you could suggest?
Tips of, for example, if it is the call data record, तपाईको अगर गभर्नमेन्ट अफ इन्डिया कै टुल युज गर्नुहुन्छ भने तपाईको मोबाइल चेक भन्ने छ है, र CDR एनालाइजर भन्ने छ है, जसमा चाहिँ इट इज सो गुड है, मतलब इट क्यान बी, त्यही त यो अब यस्तो हो, वी क्यानट टोटली डिपेन्ड अन द टुल्स अल द टाइम, अलिकति कमन सेन्स पनि कोही बेला लगाउनु परिन्छ है. मेनी टाइम्स हामीले यसरी पनि ट्र्याक गरिएको छ. अब तपाईको CDR एनालाइजरमा कतिवटा टावर डम्प, सब्सक्राइबर डेटाहरु लिएर एनालाइज गरियो है, र एउटा फर्म हुन्छ. Many times they take the SIM in someone else's name, right? So we are not able to track it to the criminal who has done it because अरूको नाममा लेखो हुन्छ. But many times we forget कि ISP र TSP कोमा एउटा कस्टमर एप्लिकेसन फर्म पनि हुन्छ जसमा चाहिँ एउटा अल्टरनेट नम्बर भनेर दिनै पर्छ त्यहाँ है. So it has happened कि 5 iterations मा we have landed with the actual criminal, किनभने फर्स्टमा जसले चाहिँ अर्कोको नम्बरको सिममा लिएर चाहिँ अल्टरनेट नम्बर दियो त्यो पनि डुप्लिकेट, मतलब that was also not the actual criminal है. फेरि अर्कोमा गयो त्यसले पनि अल्टरनेट दिनुपर्छ, गर्दा 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 चाहिँ 5th या 6th इटरेसनमा we found the actual जो क्रिमिनलकै नम्बर थियो त्यसमै हामी ल्यान्डेड. सिमिलरली रिचार्ज गरेको इन्फर्मेसन इज अल्सो देयर विथ द TSP एन्ड द ISP. यो नम्बर कुन चाहिँ मोबाइलबाट रिचार्ज गर्यो, अनलाइनमा गर्यो कि अनलाइन गर्यो भने कुन चाहिँ IP युज गरेको थियो है, IP युज गरेको थियो भने त्यसको र कुन चाहिँ गुगल पेबाट गर्यो कि के गर्यो, गुगल पेबाट गर्यो भने एकाउन्ट के हो, एकाउन्टको डिटेल्स, यो सबै पनि हामीले लिन सकिन्छ. बट दि इन्भेस्टिगेटिङ अफिसर हैज टु see it in that perspective है. The data is so huge, कुन चाहिँ डाइरेक्सनमा गएर कहाँबाट ल्याउनु पर्ने भनेर त्यसरी हेर्नु पर्यो है. सो टुलै भन्नुभयो भने चाहिँ सर टुल्स लाइक साइबर चेक, CDR एनालाइजर, मोबाइल चेक आर समथिङ विच आर बिल्ड बाई आवर मिनिस्ट्री ओन्ली. र यसको अलावा अरू पनि छ, तपाईको सेलिब्राइट भयो है, FTK इमेजरहरू भयो, त्यसमा पनि यो सबै प्रोभिजनहरू.
थ्याङ्क यू सर.
थ्याङ्क यू. हजुर.
Yes, any judicial officer has any questions, please kindly put to the resource person. No question. Now,
Having
yes,
Hello, sir.
Yes.
yes.
Having come to the end of today's session, may I now request Learned Director to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sonila. Now we have come to the end of today's program. It is my honor and privilege to conclude the same by offering vote of thanks to all, especially learned resource person who, despite of having a very important matter pending in his department, has been kind enough to accept our request and conducted today's sessions by clarifying the n number of issues involving under cyber crimes of information technology, for which I, on behalf of Sikkim Judicial Academy, would like to offer sincere thanks to him for his wonderful and remarkable contribution made to all of us. I equally would like to offer my sincere thanks to all judicial officers who, despite of having both judicial and administrative work of paramount importance pending on the board, has been kind enough to share much precious time with all of us and made today's sessions very successful. Lastly, my sincere thanks goes to all technical team of both Subnet Court and Sikkim Judicial Academy for extending their technical help to make today's program very successful. Thank you all. With these words, now I would like to declare the end of today's session. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.